think it'd be interesting to play with lighting, like in this video, because part of recording videos is to inspire people to record videos or do something, and build in public. So I'm gonna do that. How does this work? Light hits there nice. I want there to be like a nice candle that's in the scene. Like shot, as filmmakers would call it. This feels uncomfortable though. I could get used to it. Okay. So I just did an IFS session with Theo, and wow, I understand why people have been talking about this. So IFS is how Theo explained IFS was that there's a family of parts, and then there's a self. The self is like light, boundless kindness. Like the self has inherent goodness, which I like that. I like that part, like that view of the self, and it still keeps the like some of the negative valence that the other parts can have, without being abundantly negative. Without being negative and saying the self is inherently bad, or the self is inherently null, neutral. And so we approached the part. You can see my dog, nice. We approached the part, and he's a protector part, and someone else came along, and like there's this nature scene. We were sitting on like stones. No, he was standing up. I was like hovering, and then the scout from Team Fortress 2 came, and he's like, "Come on, let's get a move on," and then Joe Vader choked him, which is interesting, and that created a crucial thing is like when there's some negative valence in my reaction, that's not coming from myself, that's coming from a part. So then I got like fearful of the part in this imaginal world, and Theo helped me Theo pointed out that, oh, this is a part that is fearful. It's not you. Or he didn't talk about you at all, and like sense of self. I guess self as another part, self as like the facilitator, the space at which the other parts hug, the space in between which the other parts hug, the light that the other parts touch, the light of the day and the moon of the night. The distraction. So yeah, he didn't talk about like what is you and other stuff like that. But if we think about if I think about IFS, I think that like, oh, self has inherent goodness, and like and then I'm great. Grades might not be helpful here. Like I'm totally light, and then other parts that are attached to me are less, have varying levels of light. So we shift mediums, not mediums, languages. So I was talking to Joe in Vader Joe in English, and then I was talking to the scared part, this part that's scared of Vader Joe in like hums, um, mostly ineffable. I like the light swirled around the fearful part, um, and like comforted it, and then asked like, "Hey, do you want me to transport you into another world? So you're not by Vader Joe, and you won't be scared." And then they said, "Yeah." So I actually played piano, and it's not a vague recounting. I might have played piano later. I forget. And I was like, and then the part went. So the part is in another world. And I can talk to Vader Joe. I started to do like tribal songs like whoo sha, or something like that. And first Vader Joe was like, "What are you doing?" And then Vader Joe got like soothed, kind of hypnotized. And I I asked like, "May I have your blessing to go forward?" And Vader Joe was like, "Sure." I'm not happy to say this, but yes. And I was playing with voices as well. Like I think his voice was like very low. I'm not happy to say this, but yes. And then I revisited a memory that did not feel very, that didn't feel nice. In memory, I felt small and like pitied. And in which I there arised a fearful part, and that fearful part went like went scared, and it was like shaking like this, pretty much bawling. And I talked to the fearful part a bit, and then it either asked me to or I suggested I play music. And then I met the fearful part where it was at. I played minor chords. I played like sad chords, and then I went and I was happy, and I like went through the key, and I went through the piano, like, and it was really cool. And then the fearful part, metamorphosis.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
And then the fearful part, metamorphosis into a like an adult. It was pretty small kid. And then I talked to another part that was in this cave. The fearful part was in a cave. I talked to another part that was in this cave, and the part was like, "Hey, you are like the part didn't." I was talking to the fearful part some more, and then the part like shrunk at one point, and Theo pointed out that like that's coming from my that's coming from a part, because I wouldn't, the self wouldn't shrink it. Um, the self is boundless light, and the self wouldn't make someone or a part smaller. Um, so I so then I thought about what part is doing that, and a part arised, and then the part talked to the other part, um, and no, the part didn't talk to each other. Um, the I talked to the part, and that led to another part being created, a judgmental part of the judgmental part. Um, and then I was thinking like, oh, is this going to create like an infinite mirror of judgmental parts, of judgmental parts, of judgmental parts? And then Theo suggested like, I can shine light on the latest judgmental part, instead of creating a new one, because now we're being intentional because we see the paradigm. I'm thinking about what's arising. 'Cause I tried to make an explanation of circling, and any explanation I came to did not show the magic. So maybe the magic is something that you have to, experience. Or maybe the magic is something I can explain in metaphors. Metaphors are limiting. But I've seen people do a good job of it. Maybe I can do live IFS. That might be cool. Yeah. What was the parts that I was feeling while I was doing parts work? Well, those parts would arise in parts work, so I can't really bring them up now and have them be interesting and novel for me personally. And there's also things I don't feel comfortable sharing quite yet to the ominous audience. Probably like 10 viewers. It still feels like a thing. Yeah, I can go. What part feels that way? Oh, another thing I did was I lit a candle, and this candle separated Vader Joe from the rest of the world, created like a boundary. And another, when I was reliving a memory that felt hurtful, I the candle was like the light of my light, and the candle was apart, which was really cool. And the candle can give feedback in a way that would have its intention be perceived as I wanted, as it wanted to be perceived. So I can make up how the candle wants to act, which is antithetical to animism, which is something I'm exploring because I'm reading Six Ways. So maybe I shouldn't do that. I'm saying should a lot. I don't like saying should. It implies either a compact social nuance or a part. Yeah, what is that part that's saying should? It's the part that doesn't. It's a part that I can speak as the part. I want coherence, and I want it now. Um, it's like sort of a manager. It has like a builder's. It has like a, what are those called? I don't know. A builder's hat on. And it has a hammer and a pencil on it on its ear. And it's like it's looking over everything. It's like, are you coherent? Is 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 this self being coherent? Oh no. Yeah, so it's stuff like that. And then it gets really cool when you're doing multimodal stuff, like lighting a candle or playing music. It's like I don't have much. I don't feel like I have much imagination. Um, as it compares to how much, as it compares to, I feel like I have emotions. And so why don't I but imagination is really fun to play with. So why don't I make my emotions into why don't I convert emotions into imagination, which according to like Jungian literature is still imagination. I mean, it's still emotions. It's emotions in images. See Active Imagination by Carl Jung. Um, I get IFS. It's really cool. Um, I'll leave Theo's Twitter in the description. And if you want to do an IFS session, hit him up. And yeah, he seems to be busy. I followed up a few times. I don't know if I would recommend that. See feedback on me being pushy. Evident, which with their input as I'm following up a lot. So maybe that's something I should stop doing. Should. Okay, where is the should coming from? What part is that coming from? It's the part that it's the part that wants everyone to like him, and he's crying right now because of disharmony in school and people being judgmental of him. Not him exactly, but more like the internal family system, the system as a whole. Maybe I think it would be helpful to manage my expectation in um in IFS and showing people magic about it, like psychotechnology that I just tried. Um, I guess maybe this was helpful for you. If this was, let me know. And I'm surprised that you're still watching. I'd really like to know that you're still watching. I really like to know if someone is still watching. Um, Perhaps there's like a lack of novelty for me and a lack of interestingness because I'm just like recapping something I know. See Derek Sivers, obvious, see you, amazing to others. Okay. As it was, as it is, as it shall be.